a dating mistake women often make that ruins their relationships. So jumping right into this, I talk to a lot of women who waste time on unfit men, right? I think it's a common theme in the dating atmosphere on social media and especially in women advice channels, right? Avoid the ain't shit man. I get it. We all get it. But there are some women who actually have good men who start to believe and program themselves away from and against their relationships. They start to blame their relationships or their spouse or partner for issues that aren't even really their responsibility. Have given their partner the task of entertaining them and providing fulfillment in their lives when that should never be another person's business and that should never be another person's responsibility. Yeah, sure, your partner should collaborate with you, right, and add to your happiness, add to your life's pleasure. But some of you are looking for fulfillment from your relationship when you're supposed to give yourself a life that fulfills you. A lot of you think you're bored in your relationships and you're unfulfilled when you're really just unfulfilled in life. You're not doing enough, you're not growing enough, you're not evolving, you're not trying, your goals aren't inspired enough. Instead of doing more of those things that ignite your passions, you look at your partner and say, I'm bored. You're not making me happy. You don't make enough plans. You're not exciting enough. You're too predictable, etc. When really you've given yourself a predictable pattern of mediocrity. And you're looking for the excitement and the fulfillment that should come from your life's work in your partner. We hear so much about how women have helped men grow and become kings and grow up, or, all of these different things that we hear. The glow up, how a woman helps a man transform himself, right? But too often women aren't chasing their own dreams and their own goals in these relationships. So they sit idle and they sit dormant, waiting for this man to become great so that someday his success will give them excitement. And then they're often irritated when it doesn't lead to that, or he ends up breaking up with them, or they end up divorced or separated after some time, after he glows up and becomes whatever he becomes. Women often encourage each other never to date a man who's not already successful because of this. But the problem isn't that women dated a man who wasn't successful and helped him grow, and then he decided to dump them. I mean, it happens. But the bigger problem is a woman isn't developing herself and developing her own system of happiness, pleasure, and contentment, her own system of growth, her own system of evolution. A person should never just be 100% invested in their partner's life and their partner's evolution and their partner's fulfillment and growth and passions in the absence of their own. Never sit dormant in your relationship, not giving yourself the fulfillment that you would hope to get from your partner. It's never a waste of time or a bad investment to assist your partner into becoming great, as long as you're also doing the same for you. I know a lot of women with good men who've convinced themselves that that man is their issue because they're not fulfilled in life, because they don't live a life that's exciting enough, because there's not enough pleasure in their life, because things aren't spontaneous enough. When really a person's nature is a person's nature. You're expecting that person to change their nature or be something different because you're bored. But a lot of times the reason why you're bored is because you're not doing enough for you, and or you are not the change you wish to see in your relationship. I always tell women when they complain about stuff like a guy making plans and things of that nature, while your frustration is valid, you can be right or you can be happy. Meaning, if you want to go do something fun, who the hell cares who decided to do it, whose idea it was? Just go do those things. If you find yourself unfulfilled, figure out what you can add to your life before looking at your relationship or your partner saying, oh, this is boring. I thought I would be happier. Too often we focus on the low-hanging fruit of our lives. That's the thing that we can blame the easiest on someone else. I'm not saying some of you don't have unfulfilling relationships. I'm not saying that some of you don't have toxic relationships that you need to run from. But what I'm saying is, more often than not, we look for something outside of ourselves to blame and point to before we ask ourselves what we are offering our own lives. Of course, a man should make some plans from time to time. Of course, a man should add to your life, be exciting, be supportive, be loving, be nurturing, all of these things. But some of you start to nitpick a man's personality type and a man's basic nature that's always been there because you're unfulfilled in your own life. Remember, a relationship is supposed to be two whole people coming together to add to each other's joy, to add to each other's happiness, to add to each other's experience, not to create them, but to add to them. In addition to your relationship, you're happy. In addition to your relationship, you're fulfilled. In addition to your relationship, you're content. Too often, the relationship is deciding all of those things. Too often, all of your energy is going into someone else's experience or someone else's development so that you can ultimately benefit from it in your relationship. I always hear about a woman helping a man become great and not wanting another woman to reap the benefits of that. What did you do for yourself during that time? Why weren't you becoming great? Why is so much of your future staked on what he does after he becomes great for you? Of course, some women have gotten screwed in the long run, help a guy through college, do his homework for him, help him develop in his career or his business, and then things didn't work out. Of course, sometimes a man is giving you a shitty experience, not talking to you enough, not communicating, not being affectionate, not being a good spouse or a good lover. Of course, there are relationship issues that should cause you to look into your relationship and figure out how to analyze it, how to critique it, or figure out how to get something more from it. Of course, some guys are too boring, predictable, and they're really giving a minimal effort. It's just not their personality type. I'm not dismissing anything that you might be disenchanted with in your relationship, but what I'm saying is sometimes that pinhole of imperfection starts to look like a big ass canyon when you focus on that 100% and you're not really focused on what you can do to add to your own life and experience and happiness. Some of you break up with your boyfriend because you're disenchanted with life and you think you're disenchanted with him, only to want him back when you realize that he wasn't the problem. You're still unfulfilled when you go single. You're still unfulfilled after you leave him. You ruin your relationships because you've placed the boulder of your happiness, your contentment, and your personal growth and your human experience on his shoulders. All things equal, you still have to bring yourself happiness and then add that to your relationship, just as your partner should. All I'm saying is make sure that you are giving yourself the type of life that you're hoping to receive from your partner. And make sure that you're providing the type of experience and energy in your relationship that you're hoping to receive as well. If you're not focused on being better, doing better, and giving more to your partner, it's not fair that you require them to do that 100% of the time because you're unfulfilled in life. Some men and some women have good spouses, but they nitpick their relationships because it's one of the low-hanging fruits and it's one of the few things that they feel like they can control or influence. And criticizing their partners takes a whole lot less effort than doing things for themselves that they've been putting off, than conquering their own goals or than facing their own fears. Sometimes romance and spontaneity isn't your issue. It's a stagnant, passionless, purposeless lifestyle. And no matter how many times your man surprises you with flowers or makes plans, he can't provide for you inner fulfillment. That has to come from you. This message is for who it's for. This is not for everybody. This is definitely not to address every concern or every complaint a woman might have about a stagnant or a low effort man or a minimal effort guy in a relationship. But there are those of you who have good relationships and you blame it for everything that's not going well in your life. And you eventually learn that after you break up with the person, after you leave your relationship or destroy it or sabotage it. A lot of women realize that wasn't the answer after they've already killed their relationship. With pessimism, with negativity. Fulfillment and excitement are two different things. And no matter how exciting you try to make your life or try to force your partner to make your life, if you're lacking fulfillment, you still won't be happy. Anyway, that's all I got for now. Follow me at KFake24 on Instagram. I'll get with y'all later.